So this week I wanted to tackle the topic of insurance and some of the things that are happening right now that are different than maybe in the past. And even though insurance is largely the same, here's what's going on that I think is going to matter to most people. When you purchase a home or are insuring a home, there's an inspection report that the insurance company is most likely going to require. It's called a 4-point inspection. And that one's going to talk about the roof system, the plumbing, the HVAC, and the electrical system, the biggest ticket items in a home, and the ones that insurance companies pay the most attention to. Now, the reason for that 4-point inspection is to understand if there's anything that would add risk to your policy. You see, insurance is really just risk mitigation, and the insurance company is making a pretty big bet that when they take their money, they don't have to pay out on it. So as your home is more risky, they're going to raise your premium, the cost of your insurance. So if they had to pay out on your house that's more risky, that there's sufficient money left over. It's since insurance companies run lots of ads on TV and things like that, they're probably making a few bucks along the way. So, the roof, funny thing of it is, most roofs say they're 30-year shingles, or if they're metal roofs or 50-year roofs. We hear all of these terms. So what's going on right now when the insurance companies say any roof older than 10 years might need to be investigated, or dug a little bit deeper, or more information, or maybe the premium goes up a little bit? And there is, this thing, especially Florida-based, where if there is a hurricane, tropical storm, a named storm, something like that, there used to be something where if there was enough damage, they would replace your roof because you paid enough premium. That's largely changed since December of 2022. So just in the last 5-6 months. But with that policy in place right now, what the insurance company says, listen, we're taking all these hurricane damages and all these tropical storm damages, and we're paying out way more than we want to. So they've made some changes along the way. But if you're either insuring a home that you already own or about to buy, the roof that's 10 years old is going to become more of a thing than it was in the past. So if you have what they call a wind mitigation report, it would talk about the condition of the roof and if it's properly strapped, if it's nailed properly, the likelihood that it would survive a 150-mile-an-hour wind, a Category 5 storm. That's what they're looking at. So that wind mitigation will help you to receive any eligible discounts due to the roof on your insurance. And if it's even older than that, you're going to get to a point where it's less insurable. Now, I do hear that, hey, geez, you can't get insurance. And I believe it's what they're really saying is you can't get insurance at a price that you want to pay or that's affordable or that makes sense. Because people do self-insure properties. If you own it free and clear, you can self-insure. There's nothing that says you have to have insurance. If it's finance, they probably want you to have insurance on the property as part of the mortgage agreement. But when you have these homes that are 15 and 20 years on the roof, this is where a lot of concern has been happening, whether it's on the market and they're trying to sell the property and the buyer is asking, is it insurable? Well, sure, there's a policy in place and here's the cost it would be. And it's probably going to be more than if it was a brand new roof. That's just risk. And let's just suppose that it was 1 or 2 years of useful life left. The insurance company might say, geez, you need to replace that. And before closing, that can happen. But I've also noticed where you would have 30 or 60 days to put a roof on after closing. So if you didn't want to buy a roof before you own the property, perfectly clear, perfectly good. If the owner refuses or just doesn't have the money or just doesn't want to do a roof when they're trying to move out, between the mess and the noise and the disruption, that I understand. So there's many companies that will allow a roof to be put on 30 or 60 days after closing and completed and not have a variance in the policy. So I would look into that. If you're in that situation, I'd absolutely look into that bit about the roof. And is it the right age? And when does it actually need to be put on? And it's rare. It's rare where you can't get some form of insurance on a property. Just know that some insurance can get really expensive depending on that condition of the property, especially the roof. Coming to hurricane season, it's those things. So I would really, really look into that. Now, the electrical part of the 4-point inspection, that's really just looking at your panel box, Number one, is it an old one? Does it have the proper breakers on there? Is the proper load on there? Is there anything going on inside the box that's not, is it double tapped? These are industry terms, I guess is what I would call them. But an inspector would know that, and an electrician who's licensed would know these things. So that could happen. Now, if it's an older panel box and it's an old fuse box or something like that, then that might merit to be replaced. What I've often seen is somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000. Most homes' electrical panels are able to be replaced or at least updated for the panel box. Years ago, silver wiring was used. That might be a concern, especially in a manufactured home for a lot of people and a lot of insurance companies as well. So, homes can be rewired, and I'm not about to quote that over the air right now, but let's just say that, most things can be done. And those are the major things with electrical. Now, if things aren't properly capped off, or let's say that a wire was not put back, spliced back together in an attic when they took out a light or something like that, or a fixture, that would hopefully show up in an inspection report. It's a relatively easy fix in most cases. So that's really what you're looking at on the electrical side. HVAC, that's pretty cut and dry. Your AC and heat, it's either working or not working. And can it be repaired? Sure. 10, 12 years is common lifespan. I've seen them 15 to 20 years old. And in that case, there's times where it's still working. Some sellers will offer a home warranty to cover it. Maybe it's still working and they don't want to replace it, or they only use it on Sundays or something like that. Maybe it's been gently used and it's been serviced the whole way. That would last a lot longer. Your options are pretty big. You can keep maintaining it, keep putting Band-Aids on it, keep fixing it, or buy a new one. And so HVAC, I think that having it in place is important. Making sure the ductwork is functional and working in the thermostat. There's not a lot going on there. Now the other thing's the plumbing. And these days you'll see a lot of PVC plumbing, and you'll see, well, I think the older stuff's what they're looking for. If it's galvanized or something, is it, well, hopefully it's not lead pipes in there. But there's different types of pipes, and polybutylene, that was also, used probably back, 20, 30 years ago at this point right now. The type of plumbing that's in place and the drain lines do matter, and that's something that will also come up in an inspection. So that's really where you bring the experts in. So a 4-point inspection, roof system, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, those are the 4 biggies on there. The wind mitigation report is going to help you get a discount if it's possible on the insurance side. And I want to talk about today because insurance across the board is up 30, 40%, and it's a bigger ticket item in the past, and it's affecting family budgets. So keep an eye on the insurance, and know that in most cases you can get insurance on a home. So I hope you enjoyed this week's edition that has talked about insurance and how it matters to you and what the changes are going forward that you should be aware of to help you as you protect the property that you own. Stay tuned. We're going to be having an upcoming episode that talks about replacing your roof. So that's one you're going to want to watch for. Thanks for tuning in. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.